Pulling that aerator in highway gear done got them in trouble. I've tried to find every crack and every weak spot, cut it out. There's another crack right here that we're going to have to get it to where we can fold it back together. Went ahead and cut these cracks here and here. Here, that was just really ugly. I don't know if they was having welder tryouts or what. They built most of it with a squirt gun, and then they swapped to a stick. See that big crack right there? And we had a weld failure through here. So I cut off most of that weld. It was pretty ugly. So on the inside, way down in there, see, it's broke out of the tube. So I may take the torch in there and cut some more relief. That way, when we bend that back straight, it won't bind. We're may look like we're just going to do some heating and beating, but it's very scientific. We're actually using the metric vise to hold it down. So we've got that ready. We're starting to see a little bit of movement. So I'm doing the voiceover here because I'm single track mine and I cannot talk and run that cutting torch at the same time. So I've sped the video up. It was broke on 3 sides. So we want to put the heat on the top and allow that steel to relax. And when it relaxes, it's going to let everything line up. Gravity's doing its role. So everything's working like it should. But the important thing in this repair is because it has failed. The material has failed mostly due to work harden. We want to anneal it, let it relax, let it cool down slow. That way it will not be brittle when we go back to make our welds. So it folded in there pretty good. I need to cut a little bit more relief so we can get it to close in. Did that. Now we have this ugly, look like an alligator chewed it up. But we're going to cram some 60-10 in that crack. Weld that out. Should be good. Did it here. Wide gap, but it did pretty good. Here, I've got this ugly fisheye because of contaminated steel. You had some welding inclusions. I'm annoying myself because I kept clicking that rod on the steel. I don't know why I did that, but I'm continually doing it. Got hydraulic fluid. The hydraulic fluid was all in this steel. So that's just something to consider. The weld is ugly. We're going to grind it out. Every time we grind it, heat it, weld it, gets a little cleaner, gets a little better. So that's where we're at. We have an ugly weld that allows us to come in there, push in there with some high heat, burn out all that trash, that slag inclusion that's consuming me. I want to get it out. So here's the other side. Not going to do anything with that crack right now. We're going to do it in the morning. What I do today, which you could put off to tomorrow. So that's where we're at. I'm just working. It's like welding a mirror now, looking at this camera. So I throw my keyhole, then come down. Keyhole, come down. Keyhole, come down. But this gets us good for the night. We're out of daylight. We'll hit this back in the morning, grind all that out, make it a lot more presentable, and then we'll weld it out flush. So y'all get your good night's rest. Be out here early. So we're back at it, running some 70-18 vertical up. I'm running it hot, trying to burn out any kind of trash that I was not able to grind out. I'm doing a lot of grinding between passes, trying to keep the toes of that weld really clean between passes, doing some stringers. And then we're coming out with a weave. So we've got some good metal. I know a lot of people don't like a weave, but in the repair business, it sure does help a lot. It's one of my favorite welds. So here we are with that first weave. We're coming out, we're pretty flush. And I'm finna cap it with a nice flat weave to show you that up close. So here's a close-up of what I call my figure 8. I'm going to the left, then to the right. Up a little bit and to the left, up a little bit and to the right. I want to keep on the upper end of my amperage for the rod. Focus on my sides. That metal is pretty molten and it drags and sits on the metal below it that you just deposited. Gives you a nice clean weld. Just take your time on the edges, on your restarts. Be sure that you start above, come back down where you're hot. You don't get any slag inclusions, any trash, or I think that's a lot of people's thing with a weave is it can be a really nasty weld. I mean, the welds that we're repairing, they were weaved and they had slag inclusions all in them. But I try really hard to keep it hot, keep all that burned out. It works for me. You know, a lot of people don't like it, but we can do stringers for those people. See, it's pretty flat, not a lot of build up on the reinforcement, so shouldn't be bad to work with. So you notice where I did that restart, I came outside of my line of weld a little bit on the left. That kind of aggravates me, but it happens. Maybe I'm a little rusty, but we're not weaving anymore. We're running stringers, double speed now for all the YouTube certified welding aficionados and keyboard commandos. We're running those stringers so we can all be friends now. You know, good stringers is what everybody needs to do. Stringers are where they're at. So get that grinder, grind out those toes so we can make some more stringers. Stringers, crap. All right, he's weaving again. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That weave is a great way to cover a lot of ground, and there's thousands and thousands of weaves, butterfly caps, puddle caps, Texas lace, whatever you want to call it. I really like the way those old timers did it, so I'm trying to keep a little bit of that alive. Don't do any work anymore for jobs that require a welding inspector. Most of these guys are going to come out and kick it and say that'll hold, and just cannot deny that weave looks cool. And if they're not breaking and they look cool and your customer's happy, it's a win-win. Still weaving. Still weaving. Full disclosure, the first welding test that I ever took down in some lab in Alabama, I capped out my test plates with the weave. The inspector was none too happy. He chewed my butt pretty hard, but he did agree to go on and test them. And he said, if they'll pass bend test, I'll pass you, but never weave in my lab again. So I passed. I've never weaved in his lab again, so I guess me and him are still friends. Running the cutting torch. Tip was a little dirty. I should have taken some time to prep the plate a little better, clean the tip. Got it sped up twice the speed, so it doesn't take as long to watch. But for the customer who has a piece of equipment that's on the side of the road, we're trying to get him back to going, and it is what it is. Sometimes everything's not perfect, but you do the best you can, and we're making progress. This will be our top plate. It's going to tie everything in that hitch together. Hopefully it's going to fit. You're supposed to measure twice and cut once. I only measured once, so I hope that it's going to fit. When you throw those angles in there, everything changes. I just noticed that my bottom angle did not account for the radius, so I bet that's going to show up. Oh yeah, fits like a dream, like it grew there, except for that radius. Yeah, I missed that a little bit. Would you have noticed if I had not have pointed it out? Well, sometimes you just got to be like that little cat in a litter box, and you got to cover that up. Some 70-18 will be just the ticket. So, finna lay down some of that 70-18. Oh, sorry, that's 60-10. Yep, that's 5P plus. That's the gray rod. Y'all, this little Bobcat 225, it will eat them 60-10s. It loves that 5P plus rod. Sometimes it gets a little finicky restarting some 70-18, especially Excalibur 70-18. which is kind of odd because Excaliburs usually restart very well. But this little Bobcat, man, it loves those 60-10s. So running a pass around there with a 60-10, gonna be a good cleaning pass. Let's just get in there. Got a lot of undercut where that hydraulic mount was, where I cut out all the cracks. I used some of that hydraulic mount steel to fill in, just cutting off steel, bringing it down. So we're gonna fill in that undercut. I left a pretty good gap on that mounting plate where we could reach down in there. So we've reached down in there, tied the hydraulic plate to the tube frame, to the reinforcement plate. Now we're coming across, going to make 3 passes to cap that out with those good stringers. Keyboard commandos can be happy about that. All the stringers that we're going to do, these are all stringers. There were no weaves involved right here. So good old 70-18 Excalibur, great Lincoln rod, running it on a Miller machine that way. We're an equal opportunity offender. Got to get everything in there, get this guy back going, hopefully. Oh, look at that. Yeah, when the slag just peels off like that, yeah, they all need to be like that. I'm not that good. They don't all peel off like that. I must have been holding my mouth right. So, guess what? We're running more 70-18. It's a lot of weld. Round and round, left to right, front to back, side to side, weld, weld, weld. So, look at that. That peeled off pretty good. I must be getting warmed up. You see my cool hat? My wife made me that welding hat. It's got a suede ear flap on it to protect my radar ears. Hit that. Oh, look at that. Yeah, looks good till you look at the underside. Yeah, well, a little 60-10 5P plus crammed in those holes, running them hot, running them fast. I'll take the grinder, clean all that out. Now we're coming back in with that 70-18, the good stuff. Burning out all that trash. More welds, lots of welds. Lot more welds. I love hearing that sizzle of that weld. All right. Got to put some reinforcement plates on the bottom. So these are odd legs. You'll notice I had that weld that kind of came around the corner. It broke funny, so I don't want these reinforcements to hit where it already had broke before. So one of them is longer than the other one, just to be sure that we're spreading out that load and hopefully not going to have a failure. Hey, that looks pretty good. If you could have videoed it where we'd have seen a thumbs up, it would have been better. But okay, running that 5P plus. Look at that. I just like that 5P plus. It's doing good, doing what it should. And boom, shakalaka. That's kind of corny, but it's repaired. The customer has been notified. He should be on his way to pick it up. He's ready to go. Don't know what he was doing with it, but he can get back to it. Cash, check, or card. We're ready to go. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you got questions, let me know. If you hit that like or subscribe, it'd be good, because maybe it'd help me make some money on these repairs, because I do not think I charged enough for this one. See you next time.